And welcome in. It is the Gridiron and the Grapple. I am Joe Miller, your host, joined by Jason Suttle. He's played for more NFL teams than I have ex-wives, and that's a big number. We are at X Golf Middleton this week, right here in Greenway Station. 2 X Golf locations, one here in Middleton and the other on the east side. We're getting set to start league season, so if you're looking to continue your golf, maybe your golf league just ended, and you say, I'm not ready to be done yet, they have fall and winter leagues 4 nights a week. You can go to xgolfmadison.com, sign up, pick a night, pick your partners. They have 2-man teams, 3-man leagues running from October all the way up through the spring. And if you're just looking for a round of golf, I know the weather's still nice out, but it does snow here in Wisconsin. So as soon as that first snowfall hits, come on indoors. Full bar, full menu, the most accurate simulators. My man Solo's about to take down a course record here. Not for the show, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're still there. You're right there, +1 with 2 holes to go. So
maybe I can finish it.
Nice eagle
after the show.
All right, it is called Gridiron first. We're going to talk a lot of football on the show today. Obviously, this guy was a pretty good Badger football player, so I got to get his take on what in the heck is going on at Camp Randall, and is this program really salvageable right now? We'll get his take on that. Obviously, a big one this week, the Packers after the bye week, after that crazy, I know you were watching that 40-40 tie 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah, that was quite impressive.
Wow.
A lot of points scored. Defense didn't really show up.
Yeah, and then Dallas goes out. I mean, the Jets are terrible, but Dallas then goes hammers the Jets. So maybe Dallas isn't that bad. We'll figure that one out as well. Maybe throw some gambling in there. This guy and I like to throw a few ducats down on a game here and that, and we'll sprinkle in the Brewers, give them a little luck at the end of the show as they try and close out this series against the Chicago Cubs. All right, we got to start with the elephant in the room. I'm wearing red. It was totally unintentional, but I think this is a good, waving the flag to start the show because, dude, I guess let's go back in time, 3 seasons ago. Paul Chryst has an epic meltdown at Camp Randall, middle of the season. Brett freaking Bielema, of all people, come in. Boat race Wisconsin. Chryst is fired the following Monday. Jim Leonard's inserted as the interim coach. Not great, but not terrible. Obviously, you know him well. A Badger legend. Had a great career in the NFL. Had a great career in Wisconsin. Kind of kept the team above water. Got him into a bowl game. Something that we're going to talk about here. It's not really in the cards much lately. But the question was then, okay, the season ends. Did Leonard do enough to keep the job permanently? Because before we talk about what is or what isn't Luke Fickell, I think we got to go back and do a little history lesson. I do have a minor, Jason, in history from the University of Wisconsin, so put that to work. So let's go back that 3 years. Leonard finishes the season, again, not great, but I think they were a 7-5 team, made a bowl game, won the bowl game. Did you think at that point Leonard's a splashy enough name, it's a big enough, he's a legend in the program. Yeah. Did you think he was good enough or had done enough to warrant the UW Athletic Department giving him the job full time?
Well, can I start with now and looking back? I know we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that.
You got to live in the prisoner of the moment, baby.
I'll be honest with you. I love Jim Leonard and how he coaches and everything about it and the way he has defenses playing. But at that moment in time, I felt like he wasn't experienced enough and he wasn't ready for that job. I just thought it was a pretty big step for him to if they actually wanted to put him as the head coach. But in the end, when Fickell came aboard and he, the rumors were coming out about Fickell coming to Wisconsin, I was kind of all in on that. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was the right choice at the time. I thought Fickell had a good resume. What he did with Cincinnati was impressive, and I just didn't think Leonard's resume was solid enough yet. But I would love to have kept him around. Yeah,
see, and I'm with you, and I think probably looking back, it's the right answer. I just had wish, and say what you will about Brett Bielema, but the dude won a lot of games when he was here at a high level. And
yeah, he did.
Alvarez will always be the architect, the godfather of this thing. And what he did, bringing Bielema back, saying he's going to be the defensive coordinator for 2 or 3 years, and then he's taken over. And it worked, right? Bielema's inserted right away, back-to-back Rose Bowls. So I wish that they, and again, hindsight's 20/20, but if they had done that with Jim Leonard, if Paul Chryst had said, all right, but I'm not thinking Paul Chryst wanted to be done, but had Paul Chryst said, look, 3-4 years, I'm going to do what Barry did, I think Jim Leonard wouldn't have success. Okay, so that doesn't happen. The splashy hire, if we recall, Luke Fickell at Cincinnati, the first non-power conference school to make the college football playoff. And that's not when it's 12 like it is now. That was 4.
Yeah.
Cincinnati made the college football playoff from the American Athletic Conference. Now, granted, they got slaughtered by Alabama, but still, someone had to be the first to do it. Fickell did it. All sorts of NFL guys. You know, they had Desmond Ridder, they had Sauce Gardner. I mean, that looked like an up-and-coming program. You figure, you know, the maturation, like James Franklin goes from Vanderbilt to Penn State, Fickell from Cincinnati to Wisconsin. It made total sense. I mean, I'm not going to go now and say what a terrible hire. We're going to get into what's going on. There's no way 3 years ago when Chris McIntosh said that's the hire that not one Badger fan was like, here we go, we're right back in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, you know, with Luke Fickell, you know, like I said, his resume was excellent. And all the cards were aligned for him to take over. He had a lot of offers from a lot of other schools. I mean, people were looking at him like he's going to be the next great coach. People were looking at him like he could possibly take Wisconsin to that next level.
Yeah.
That next level and put them into the top tier of the Big Ten with the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Penn States. That's why I was kind of on board with it. And I thought we needed a change. Not such a drastic change as they did with the offense and all that. Thought they took it a little too far, changing the whole offense and the scheme. I really felt like they should have stuck with what Wisconsin does really well and then kind of sprinkle in some of that new stuff, some of the read options and all that stuff to go in with old school Wisconsin football. And I think looking back now, obviously, that was probably his biggest mistake in the whole thing that he, you know, the whole outcome of the whole what's going on now. But in the end, at the moment, Chris McIntosh, I felt like made the right choice. Thus far, it's not working out, but in that moment, I thought it was a good choice.
Okay, so now that brings us to the present day. It's not good. 2-3. You've had 3 straight humiliating losses. Obviously, getting the doors blown off at Alabama. The loss at home to Maryland is just, it's one. I mean, that's talk about Paul Christ and getting fired by Maryland. I mean, that Maryland ranked, that's an all-timer. You know, losing by 17 points at home to Maryland. And then Michigan, look, they hung in there for the first half, but then Michigan boat raced them in the second half. Now you come to this week, you're at home, night game against maybe your biggest rival in Iowa, and you're a home dog to Iowa.
Haven't seen this in a long time.
Wow.
Not gonna lie, seeing Iowa coming into, you know, Madison and the Badgers being an underdog is kind of crazy. But just going back to that Maryland game, I was actually on the field for that game. And
sorry to hear that.
Oh boy, you know, it just never really felt and looked like a normal Wisconsin team. And I know it's a different regime, and I know it's Fickell coming in, and he's been here for 3 years, and it just didn't feel or look like a real Wisconsin team. Those Wisconsin teams that I've known since the 90s where, hey man, you're going to have to come in here and kick our butt because we're going to fight until the end. It felt like we've lost a little bit of that. And that's how when the Maryland game, during that game and by the end of that game, like I felt like that was one of the worst performances I've seen in 20-some years. And I know they didn't play that bad, but just the feeling in the stadium and then watching Luke Fickell after that loss in his interview was kind of interesting too because he looked like a wounded dog and he sounded like a wounded dog.
Sounded like it.
And that's just not kind of the Wisconsin way. And so those are seriously some big concerns for the Badgers.
Well, you said it a couple of minutes ago, and I think it's like the kind of at the crux of the story, right? Is when Fickell's hired, he brings in the air raid, right? Brings in Phil Longo from North Carolina. I know you think about all the Drake May and Sam Howell and all these NFL quarterbacks that he coached at North Carolina.
Yeah.
And the air raid obviously didn't work. They fired Phil Longo in the middle of the freaking season last year.
Yeah.
But what it's left is, to your point, the identity that this team had been since your days under Barry Alvarez of physical, big offensive linemen, run the football, play swarming defense, have a quarterback that when he needs to make the big throw, might only need to throw it 15, 20 times a game, but he can complete it. And there is that Lee Evans, there is that Chris Chambers, there is that, you know, Jonathan Charles, a wide receiver that's an NFL receiver. I don't see any of those boxes checked on this team.
No, not at all. And you know, when you talk about especially the offensive line, that was one of my biggest concerns when they started making the moves of bringing in linemen that don't really fit the mold of Wisconsin. So I felt like they were changing kind of like the offensive style, and they were with the air raid and all that. But again, I didn't think they were going to go as far as they did with just completely revamping the line, completely revamping the system. I thought that was kind of the biggest mistake of the whole thing that I from then till now looking back, and that's kind of what I was saying back then too, is just going to the air raid was a big step. I mean, I get it. You want to win a national title. Wisconsin football has always been so good since the 90s. Always just right there competing with the bigger teams and hopefully squeeze in there somewhere and try to get into that playoff or something like that. But obviously it hasn't happened yet, and hopefully we've got a long way to go with Bickle. Hopefully he sticks around for a little bit, but I know a lot of people calling for his head, but sometimes you just got to stick it out and let him correct the ship.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, you talk about, okay, he wants to get rid of him. Okay, there is a financial component. It's called the buyout. If they fired him right now, it's $25 million. So you can say,
oh, really?
Well,
yeah.
You know, the Big Ten's about to sign a $2 billion private equity deal. $25 million is pocket change. You know, there's a cost to everything. And not only that, Chris McIntosh in the athletic department doesn't want to look like 2.5 years into this experiment.
No.
They completely butchered it. So I'm with you. And he just re-signed an extension this offseason. So, okay, let's just say for the moment he's going to ride out the last 3 years, I think it is, this year and I think 2 or 3 years more. How do you, forget Saturday against Iowa, big picture, how do you turn this program around, in your opinion, to get back, maybe not to where it's Ohio State, Wisconsin, but where it's at least, I looked at the power rankings on Fox Sports this week out of 18 Big Ten teams, we're 17th.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, honestly, it'll be a really tough task, and here's why. I believe it'll be a tough task because, they committed so much to Luke Fickell and changing the offense and the style and the players that it's going to be hard to go back to that grassroots type of style that Wisconsin had always been known for, especially in the new age of NIL deals and all the complexities of what goes into a program nowadays. It's going to be hard to turn back that clock.
Yeah.
He's really going to have to fight hard to get the respect back of the people in this community and the alumni, and just trying to get back to that style is going to be really difficult because recruits won't know what they're coming into now. They said they wanted to go back to that style of defense and offense and Wisconsin football, but it's hard to take that step.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's easier said than done because you have to bring in, sometimes different coaches like he has done, and then again, you have to go back to recruiting those big, the big dudes from Wisconsin and Illinois and Minnesota, where that was the core of Wisconsin football, and they kind of got away from that.
Well, and
so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
I would love to see, speaking of Chris McIntosh, an in-state offensive lineman prospect, Mark Tauscher, an in-state recruit. Those guys went on to be NFL, all-pro level players. Name me the last stud in-state offensive tackle that was or is killing it in the NFL. I mean, you got to go back to give him credit. There are some guys still playing. Paul Chris, love or hate him at the end, he put a lot of dudes in the NFL on both sides of the football. I'm not seeing, you're getting 1 or 2 5th, 6th round draft picks under Fickell. Give Chris and obviously Bielema, of course, Barry, you're getting 7, 8, 9, 10 guys drafted every year. And every year there was a 1 or 2 offensive linemen. 75% of the time they were from some little town you never freaking heard of in northern Wisconsin, and they go on to be a stud in the NFL. Where are those guys? They're not here.
Well, we used to develop those guys. Those guys were developed. They found the tough guys, the guys that really love football, those guys with good attitude, and they fight. And they developed them, honestly. That's kind of what Wisconsin was known for, what made them great as a program from the 90s till now. And so when you start going out and trying to get guys from all over the country that really don't fit your style and your attitude and try to make them fit your style and attitude, it really just doesn't work. You got to start with the player and the person first, and then know what kind of player and person you want to come bring into your program. And Bielema did a great job with that. And I would never say, "Hey, I want Bielema back." And
I'll say that. I love you, Brett. Champaign, Illinois. I've been there. Horrible town. Madison, way better restaurants.
Right.
And Bielema likes to eat, baby.
And he's doing a great job with Illinois. And that's not surprising to me because he was more of in the mold of a Wisconsin type coach also. And Fickell, not so much, but
he had the bones, right? He played for he was Ohio. We forget The Hail Mary game that almost cost us the Big Ten championship game might have cost us a shot at the national championship that year. Luke Fickell was the freaking interim coach at Ohio State that beat us on a Hail Mary. So the guy played in the Big Ten. He's from the Midwest. It just like you said, it made perfect sense. Everything made sense.
And that's kind of what was confusing about the whole thing and how it's playing out right now is I did not expect this at all. I'll be the first one to say I was all on board with Fickell hire, and this is a really big surprise for me because just like you said, he seems to fit the mold of what we're looking for. It felt like a perfect fit. And Bielema was kind of the same way, but I understood why they had to move on from Bielema. So, again, it's not panning out the best right now, but it is Wisconsin, and we do love our football here in Wisconsin, whether it's the Packers or the Badgers, it doesn't matter. We love our football, and regardless of who's the coach in the next 2 to 3 years, I really think we'll start moving in the right direction because we have the community, we have a great school, we have a great athletic department, and we have a good history here.
Okay, final thought on that. Last couple of minutes, and then speaking of the Packers, we're going to talk about them and some NFL stuff coming up. People say NIL, right, has changed it, and it's obvious it's changed it. I mean, guys like Nick Saban said, I want the hell out of here because I don't want to deal with paying 18-year-old kids. I get it, but it is the reality. Now, some people have said, look, Ohio State bought the national championship last year. They had a $20 million NIL. So you say, okay, Wisconsin, are they going to commit that? Are we Ohio State's fan base? No, but we're not freaking Purdue's fan base. So at some point, do you think if Fickell's going to be successful, if he's the long-term answer, if they're going to say, we got to ride out with this guy, we made a commitment, we've got to see it through, can they win if they're not spending $20 million on NIL?
You know what? With that whole thing, that's not our style.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sit down and ask Wisconsin people, they'd be like, "Hey, should we just throw money at the problem?" That's really has never been our style here, and that's not what made Wisconsin football great. So I don't think throwing money at it is the answer. Again, I think it should be the grassroots approach of going back to communities and finding the kids around here that love football and develop them with the right attitude. I don't think throwing money is going to do it, honestly. That's for very select few programs in the nation, and Wisconsin's never been like that. We're fighting to get in that top tier, but we want to do it our way.
Yeah.
And you look at Iowa, they're still doing it with Ferencz, they're still doing it their way. And right now, they look kind of better than us.
They're favored. They're favored. Almost a touchdown in Camp Randall on a night game. Think about that one.
Yeah, and so throwing money at it is not the way, I don't believe, is the way to go. Again, we need the playbook of just like kind of Iowa, and we're in that same tier, and we're always fighting to get up top. We just kind of got to stick with that game plan. I just don't think going after players and throwing money at all the guys that are going to Ohio State and Texas and some of the SEC schools, that it's going to pan out very well.
Well, I mean, history lesson. We started this segment talking about history. We'll go back, when you were on this team and that 94 Rose Bowl, and you beat Michigan and you tied Ohio State. The amount of five-star recruits on those teams was probably like 70 to 0.
Yeah.
So that was the version of NIL back then, was five-star recruits. That's not how Barry Alvarez did it, and he had pretty good success. All right, we are just getting started. Can I even say this out loud? Could the Packers truly lose to Joe Flacco twice in the same season?
I'd have to look back at history, but
I don't think that's ever been done.
That'd be
Flacco
with two different teams.
Bengals. We'll talk about that in the Packer game coming up.
You know that first cold morning? The one that bites? Be the one who smiles, not shivers. Save $3,600 when you upgrade your furnace and AC before October 31st. Cardinal keeps you ready. From pipes to power, we're here every hour.
It is Gridiron and Grapple. Welcome back in. I'm Joe Miller. He's Jason Suttle. We're at X Golf Middleton this week in Greenway Station. Beautiful X Golf. We're getting ready for leagues with my guy Jeremy here starting next week. If you're thinking about joining, xgolfmadison.com. We have leagues Monday through Thursday. If you're a West Sider like me, come in here to the Middleton location. If you're a former East Sider like Jay, you go to our location just off East Washington Avenue by the East Town Mall. X-Golf Leagues. Hey, I just found out what we're getting. Brewer tickets. We got some swag. There's some good Packer tickets. Good stuff in our X-Golf League. All right. The Badger thing stresses me too out. Like, I almost had to go take a shot during the commercial break because it's just it's like a mind blower. I'm not there obviously yet with the Packers. The last 2 weeks have been a little bit disheartening to say the least. I want to start with you as an ex-defensive player, both obviously at the Badgers and then in the NFL. Because it's maybe been the story of the NFL, certainly in the preseason. Do you think we've seen it. I mean, look, he dominated the Lions game, right? He only played 20-some snaps. Do you think, and I know we're only, 5 games in, Micah Parsons is that dude, and in January, the Packers will be among the last team standing, and they'll be saying, I cannot believe Jerry Jones took Kenny Clark and what probably are going to be 2 30-something draft picks for Micah Parsons?
Well, it all depends on what you're looking for as a team. For me, the Micah Parsons trade I thought it was pretty good for Green Bay because you have to double the guy. And that's what people don't understand. Some people. A lot of people understand a lot about football, but some people, you have to double a guy like that, and it frees up so many more things.
Hello, Rashawn Gary. It's the NFL in snacks.
Right? You can just do so many other things when you have a guy like that on the field because it frees up everybody to kind of play looser, and you can play different defensive style too because of it. So he changes the game so much in the position that Green Bay is in, fighting. They're going to be fighting for getting in the playoffs and making a deep run. I thought it was a very good acquisition for them, and we'll see how it goes. But right now, I think it's good as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you take off, obviously, the 40 points he gave up against the Cowboys. That's going to skew your average. Even in the loss to the Browns, they only gave up 13, and I maintain you play that game 100 times, Packers win 98. That was the most fluky, bizarre 5-minute innings. They still lost. It counts as a loss. It's not counted as maybe next time it'll be different. But, okay, you look at the first 3 games. Dominate Detroit. That was the number 1 seed in the NFC last year. Yeah. Defensively, I'm talking about. We dominate Washington. That was the other team in the NFC Championship game last year. Cleveland, you give up 13 points. You'd only given up 3 points with 5 minutes to play. And then obviously last week, the dam broke. I think that was just a product of the moment. Dak Prescott was playing out of his mind. So was Jordan Love. Mm-hmm. Do you think the Packer defense, and we can start with Sunday against Cincinnati at home, are they more like the defense of the first 3 weeks, or are they more like the 40-point shootout with Dallas?
Well, I'm hoping like the first 3 weeks. That would be good. I think the shootout in Dallas was a little bit of an anomaly. I think this defense is better than that. But by the 4th and 5th week in the NFL, offenses kind of start figuring out how the defenses are playing also. So it's kind of like a tug and pull with that early in the season. So I think they're going to be okay. They just got to keep grinding away and stay healthy. And that's the number one thing. I think this defense is just going to be just fine as long as they stay healthy.
I couldn't believe this, Dad. I listen to a lot at Sirius Satellite Radio in the morning when I take my nice drive out to beautiful Stoughton, Wisconsin, to the Elite Wrestling compound headquarters. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember who said it, so I'll take credit then for myself. That we think about, the Packer defense, and the offense has been okay, and Jordan Love was terrible against the Browns, and he was terrible at times in the playoffs last year, and I agree with all that. But did you know this? You know who's number 1 in the NFL in total offense?
Let me guess.
The Green Bay Packers.
Love and the Green Bay Packers.
And that's my next question. Okay, because Jordan Love can be polarizing at times. Obviously, when you're following Aaron Rodgers, you follow Brett Favre, we take quarterback play pretty seriously in Green Bay. And yes, that throw Love made against the Browns gift wrapped the victory for Cleveland. And the strip sack against the Cowboys gift wrapped a tie. So he's made in back-to-back week 2 plays. You could say the Packers should be 4-0. But then you go on the flip side, he's got the number 1 offense in the NFL. Yeah. What's the reality of those 2 statements?
That's pretty impressive, right? They have the number 1 offense. You can't say much more than that. But with Jordan Love, it seems like it's a love-hate relationship. Sometimes he plays. Sometimes you see some plays, you're like, what is he doing, right? But then other times he looks great and he will throw a beautiful deep ball, right? So sometimes you never know what you're going to get a little bit. But in general, he's just a very good player at this point, and hopefully he just continues to improve because he has a great coach. The coaches are excellent. Good offensive coordinator, great head coach. They develop players, and that's the number one thing Green Bay has always done is develop players, and they've done that on the offensive side of the ball. So they draft players and they develop them, and they really commit to those guys that they draft. And so the receiving core is very solid, even with the additions that they had this year in the draft. And they just seem like they play together, kind of like the Brewers. They seem like they just play together.
Yeah, that's good comparison.
Yeah, they play together as a team, and they seem like they really like each other and want to play hard for each other, and that's always a good thing. And that's usually going to end well.
Okay, so I saw this stat too, that since I think our Packer bye week was like week 10 last year, like since the bye week, like Jordan Love, I think is second in touchdowns to Josh Allen, who's the reigning MVP, and probably if the MVP vote right now would be the back-to-back MVP. Yeah. So I guess my question is, we think of, and I'm not ready to see, he's not Patrick Mahomes, but you say, okay, the top four, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Where does Love fit your definition of maybe not that? I mean, those guys are
elite.
I mean, those guys are walking into the Hall of Fame 5 minutes after they retire.
Yeah.
But is Love in that, okay, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback, he's a year in, year out if he's healthy, his team's a playoff team quarterback. Is he at that level? Because again, you start looking at the evidence, right? Okay, number one offense. Oh, he's second behind Josh Allen in touchdown passes in the last 16. Like, you can't, I mean, that's not all coincidence, right?
It's not a coincidence. I think he's in a very good situation. I'll put it that way. You put Jordan Love into some other situations, and I don't think it comes out as well, honestly. But and you look at Lamar, and you look at Josh Allen, and you look at Joe Burrow, and those guys. They seem to me like they could almost win anywhere.
Yeah.
Jordan Love is in a great situation, and that really helps him, and it really bumps him up into that upper echelon tier. But he'll always need good players around him and always need good coaching from what I can tell, because he will make a lot of mistakes every now and then.
Okay, so they come off the bye week, the bizarre, like we talked about, 2-week stretch where you blow a 10-point lead literally in 5 minutes at the end of the Cleveland game.
Yeah.
Jordan Love talking about almost giving a game away. I mean, I don't know what the hell that dude's doing passing with 7 seconds left, and it hits the back of the tight end or the game's over. We didn't kick the field goal. Yeah. So take us back to when you played. You get a bye week. Whether it was a loss, I guess a tie in this case, Packer fans I think would say it felt like a loss. Would you rather come off a bye week off a win or a loss? Or when you played, what was better for your team's success?
That's a tough question, because if you're coming off of a loss, that's a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You agree? I mean, you would have to say Packer fans, and that feels like a loss to Dallas, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're a touchdown favorite on the road.
Exactly. It feels like a loss. And so, coming off that, it's hard because you have a little more time to think about it. You want to get back out there. That's the number one thing. You want to get it back out there and get back to playing. So with that said, you got to come out there and still compete. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. So
and then we teased it. I mean, I was half joking, but I mean, obviously, this is probably one of the more bizarre stats of all time. Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback for the Browns, who beat the Packers. He gets traded now to the Bengals because Joe Burrow's out for the season and Jake Browning is absolutely terrible. So Joe Flacco is going to start on Sunday. If you missed it, the coach has already come out, Zach Taylor, and said he's starting. They literally get him on Tuesday. He's going to start on Sunday. How does that work? I mean, we've seen in the past. I remember Baker Mayfield, a Christmas Eve game a couple years ago. The Rams signed him like on Tuesday, and Thursday night was the Christmas Eve game, and they won. But I mean, you've been in NFL meeting rooms. You've studied quarterbacks. Is there any way he can even have an inkling of knowing what he's doing on Sunday?
Oh, he's an older guy. He's pushing 40. He's been around a long time. If you're going to do something like that, it's going to be with an older guy like that. He's a 18 or 19-year veteran, and so he's seen a lot. And with the offenses nowadays, maybe they're making them a little more simpler. You see that a little more often nowadays than you did, let's say, 10 years ago, right? You can see a guy come in and they throw him right in there. If anybody can do it, it'd be Flacco. But I just think that's a big mountain to climb right there. Just coming in and you're barely there a week. That defense is not very good for Cincinnati. It's going to be a tough road for them, but they'll fight. They're an NFL team, and they got some heck of receivers to throw to. So.
Well, and that's what I'm like. I think the Packers, this should be a layup, but it's like, okay, you're a 14-point favorite, but yet they've got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I don't care who's the quarterback. I don't care if Mitch, the cameraman behind us, is playing quarterback for the bat. 2 touchdown underdog with those two guys?
Browning couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He didn't look very well the last, I think, 3 games that he started. with those receivers. But I guess we'll find out. I think Flacco is going to be a little better than people think he's going to be, even though he's only been there for a few days. But it's going to be tough. But with those guys, you never know what's going to happen. So that's kind of the scary thing. That's a big spread for having those type of players on Cincinnati. Still there, even though they have Flacco. Just having those players, it's going to be. But the defense is not very good for the Bengals.
That's true.
So
I mean, Dallas is a
spread.
terrible defense, and Jordan Love 8. Yeah, I mean, so the good news if you're a Packer fan is you say, look, they're playing a similarly bad defense, and Jordan Love was just about perfect in that game statistically on Sunday night against the Cowboys. So when he plays a bad defense, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and they're going to have a great game plan. Green Bay is not going to overlook them, and they're not going to come in there and just think they're going to, blow them out because they have a new quarterback. They know that. That's an NFL team over there. Even though they have a bad defense, they're still NFL players over there, and they got a lot of pride. And Cincinnati's been really good lately with Burrow, and even though he's out, they still have a lot of pride as a team. So I would expect a fight still.
That's just such a big number, man. I mean,
it is a big number.
I mean, I got a couple of bets at the end of the show. That's probably not going to be one of them. All right, here. Speaking of this game, on a side note, I was thinking about this. Okay, so Joe Flacco gets benched, right? They play last week in London. They go with Dylan Gabriel. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. I mean, Vikings win that game pretty handily.
Yeah.
So Joe Flacco isn't good enough to beat out Dylan Gabriel, but the Bengals say, well, you're better than Jake Browning, who's been our backup for 2 years. So it's like Dylan Gabriel that much better than these other quarterbacks?
I think Cleveland's just given up.
Is that the flip side of this?
That's the flip side. They basically given up on the season. They're going to let their young guys play in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. So it makes it's kind of a smart move for Cleveland just to get Flacco out of there, even though. Because what they were thinking was, in my opinion, is that they thought maybe they could win some games with Flacco and have a chance to get the playoffs. Because you
got to start the season, right? You got to sell hope to your fans and the guys in your locker room.
Exactly. And that division doesn't look very good right now. They're not good. So Flacco gave them the best chance, but now that their season's basically over. And for Cincinnati, they obviously think that they can still win some games.
I mean, they did win a game with Jake Browning. They beat the Jaguars, who are like the hottest. They just beat the Chiefs. So who knows?
Yeah.
All right, got a couple minutes left. I want to take the view of this division because last year it was hyped as maybe like the greatest division of all time because you had the Vikings and the Lions who went down to the last week for home field advantage, and they had 14 wins, and the Packers, the only teams that beat them outside of the Eagles who won the Super Bowl, were teams in their division, and they had 3 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not as hot this year. Obviously, the Lions are once again very legit. I believe the Packers are legit. Yep. The questions I have for you, as a former Minnesota resident, people don't know that. Thank you for choosing Wisconsin over the Gophers, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
What are the Vikings? Because I think they went all in on J.J. McCarthy, and then for like 2 games, they're like, whoa, I don't know if this guy is the dude.
That was a mistake.
And for the second year in a row, I've never in all my life of being a football fan see a team get so much hype for achieving less. I mean, for the second straight offseason, the Bears are going to be the Bears are going to the playoffs. The Bears are winning the division. Now, Caleb Williams did look better the last couple weeks, but it's still the freaking Bears. So I believe the Lions are legit. I believe Green Bay is legit. I think Minnesota has pieces to be legit, and I have no idea what the Bears are. What's your view on this division, all 4 teams?
Well, like you said, Green Bay's legit. We spoke about them. We know they're good. We know they're going to be good. We know they're more than likely going to the playoffs. You get to the Minnesota Vikings, I don't know what they were thinking with the McCarthy thing. Honestly, I thought it was not a very good pick.
So hard. The guy didn't even throw a pass in a game against Michigan, for Michigan.
Multiple second half games, he never even threw a pass. And he's not that style of quarterback, so it made really no sense. So, and then all the hype coming into the season that he got, because of his coach, obviously.
Yeah.
But I didn't see how he fit that style of offense anyway.
Yeah.
I think Carson Wentz actually fits that offense better. I think they're going to be better with Carson Wentz. It might be a blessing in disguise for Minnesota.
Well, they call that, Jason, I'm a history buff, as I mentioned. They call that the Wally Pipp, right? When Lou Gehrig got in famously for the Yankees, and Wally Pipp was injured, and he never saw the field again. I mean, is this going to be the case? And, look, last year he legitimately was hurt because he had knee surgery, and we saw what Sam Darnold did. I mean, Minnesota was a quarter away from having home field advantage.
Sam Darnold's doing good now.
Pretty good in Seattle.
Yeah.
Is this going to be just a situation now, if you're the Vikings, you'd be like, even when McCarthy's healthy, it's like, yeah, sorry, bro. Take another week. Ice that thing another week. That don't look good. Like, are they going to try and keep Carson Wentz in as long as they can?
Well, then they look bad, though.
Well, that's
that's the whole problem. So they'll look bad because they drafted him. Then they'll look bad because, well, he didn't play very well. And so now we're going to stick with Carson Wentz. Well, they'll look bad because of all the decisions they made up to that point, right? And if there's one thing I know about NFL coaches and GMs, they want to look good to the owners. And they do not want to look bad. They do not want to draft players that within a first-round pick and then within a year they're cutting him. Or he plays horrible. They just do not want that look, the GM especially. So for Minnesota, I think they're going to stick with Wentz as long as they keep winning, but as soon as they don't, they're going to pull him. They're going to go back to J.J. McCarthy, and it's going to be a disaster. Yeah. Like, it's going to be a disaster overall for them, I think, with McCarthy at quarterback.
He has one win, and it was by one miracle quarter over the Bears, who had a 2-touchdown lead and just completely imploded at home. Other than that, he's got 7 quarters of just absolute. I mean, the Falcons trounced them in Minnesota. The Falcons got beat 30-0 by the Panthers. For God's sakes.
Yeah, he doesn't look like it. He doesn't look like a true, legit, top-tier NFL quarterback. And I don't want to talk too bad about the guy. You know, it is his first year starting, and he was hurt last year. But my eyes, I don't see it.
Okay, and then that brings us to the NFL's oldest rivalry, the Monsters of the Midway. Bear fans will tell you that this is the biggest rivalry. I will tell you as a lifelong Packer fan, I would say the Vikings, because at least the Vikings and Packers usually play for something meaningful, where the Packers and Bears play for the Packers resting starters because the Bears are terrible. They have looked better the last couple of games, right? Caleb, they've won a couple of games now. Caleb Williams, you know, everyone loved the hire, you know, the offensive coordinator, you know, what he did is in Detroit.
Yeah.
Do you think the Bears can make noise? I mean, maybe not in this division, but can they be a threat? So, like, when Green Bay, who does play them 2 of the last, I think, 4 weeks of the season, when Detroit plays them, like, they'll have to say, well, we have to show up. The Bears could beat us if we're not on our A game. Are they that?
They are that. I think they are. They have a chance to be a very solid team. Caleb Williams will give them a chance, and he's only going to get better. You see his progression getting better. He's playing better now this year. So they're always going to be a challenge just because they're a division rival. I mean, you're going to play these guys twice a year, same division. So it's always going to be a tough out because they know who you are. The Bears know who you are as Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers know who you are as Chicago. So they got a chance to be pretty decent. In the end, I think, obviously, Green Bay is a little better team overall, but they got good things going there in Chicago, I think.
Yeah, I think I like the Ben Johnson hire. Yeah. You know, I always like, you look at, I mean, outside of maybe like Buffalo, because like Josh Allen's just a freak, but you look at all like, okay, who are the best teams? Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni, what was he before he was the head coach? Offensive coordinator. Yep. The LA Rams, what was Sean McVay before he was the head coach? Offensive coordinator. Green Bay Packers, what was Matt LaFleur before he was the head coach? Offensive coordinator. You look at the Bears, it's like they keep hiring defensive coach after defensive coach, and then these quarterbacks stink. And you're like, well, who's coaching them? A guy that wants to watch 4-3 defenses and blitz packages, or a guy that designs plays? So I will say that they got the right guy. I just, dude, like the Bears just can't seem to ever get out of their way.
And, you know, they're really slow when it comes to evolution. And that's why, going back to the Badgers, that's why I was saying, you know, that was a good hire by McIntosh because, hey, they were going to try to evolve. They just tried to do it too fast. And you know, Chicago's kind of the same way. They're going to Monsters of the Midway. They're going to focus on defense. They always want a good defense. It's cold up here. Yeah. You know, Soldier Field. It only feels right. Dick Butkus, right? It only feels right.
Dick God, the Bears.
You know, it only feels right for the Bears to have a good, solid defense.
I know it's a great story, right?
Yeah, but
you'd love that. But this is
they're evolving now, and I agree that was a good hire by them because they are evolving. They're going a little slower than maybe they should have, but they are evolving and understanding that, hey, we're always going to have a pretty darn good defense because within our history, we always have. And if we stick to that, now let's try to evolve a little bit and bring an offensive coordinator type of guy in as a head coach and try to get this train rolling a little bit. So they might be a problem in the next couple of years.
I will say this, and I feel bad as a Packer fan because I think the NFC this year, I think you've seen this starting to trend the last couple of years. It was for the longest time the AFC because of just the dominance of Brady and Mahomes, you know, back to back, you know, 2 dynasties back to back. The AFC was just clearly better, but I think now it's pretty obvious the NFC is the better conference. So I look at it like this. Okay, the first couple weeks in, you say, wow, Philly, they are still the champs. And then the Packers do what they do, and they slaughter the Lions and the Commanders. And Green Bay's the best team. Then the Rams get hot. Like, now the Rams are the best team. And then it was San Francisco winning with a backup quarterback. Then they lose at home to Jacksonville. And now it's Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, all these comebacks. So, like, do you look at this as like, man, Green Bay is going to have to be, like, perfect because there's so many good teams? Or is this just eventually? I remember one year your Broncos with that goofball Josh McDaniels. They started like 7-0, and they're like, oh my god! And then they didn't.
That changed quick.
They didn't win another game.
Yeah, that changed quick.
Do you think this will be like they can't keep this pace all season? But there's like even teams like Seattle kind of scare me. Even if the Vikings can figure out the the NFC is like scary right now. Like how deep it is.
NFC is very solid top to bottom, right? But again, that's one of those flow things. It always kind of goes AFC, NFC. You always have one better conference overall from top to bottom. And I think NFC is going to actually move past AFC a little bit. And you see just they're so top heavy in the NFC. And I don't see that changing because they have the better quarterbacks in the NFC. So, and then you have guys getting better, like Caleb Williams, so I don't see that changing. It's going to be a tough road for Green Bay, much tougher than if they were in the AFC to get out of the NFC. But like I said,
who do you
they're
think
good
are
enough.
who do you think is real? Like will be there at the end, and who are these hot teams? Will there be a couple that say, okay, it was a cute start, but really, come on, dude, you're the Buccaneers or you're the 49ers, and your whole team gets hurt every year? Like, will there be a couple that fall off, or do you think that we could go to like December and there'll be like 5 teams competing for home field advantage?
Well, yeah, obviously San Fran's scary. They're scary because as soon as their backup is doing great. But as soon as Purdy's back, they're back at it, and they're still winning games with
the backup.
A ton of guys out,
Half
hurt,
the team
right?
out.
Have the team out. Philly's always going to be good. They have an excellent quarterback, excellent coach, excellent defense. They're going to be right there. And I got to throw Green Bay in there too, just because they have so much stability in Green Bay between the offense and defense. Jordan Love and the defense and the coaches, they have so much stability that in the end they're going to be able to, because there's so many ups and downs throughout the season.
Yeah.
Between injuries and trying to find yourself as a player and find yourself as coaches. There's so many different variables in there, as long as you can minimize those variables. And I think that the NFC teams that we just spoke about, they're very good at minimizing variables, whether it's injuries or players and coaches. I mean, they're just good at it. So
I'm hearing then Jason Suttle's week quarter full. We're at the 25% way of the season. The Green Bay Packers are clearly going to win the Super Bowl this year, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the Packers, and it doesn't even freaking matter who comes out of the AFC. They suck. All right, we got to step aside. We come back. How about this? I saw we were watching here at X Golf. They were talking about they had NBA Today on, like basketball's already started. I got to get your take, 'cause I know you're a huge basketball guy. Like, what the heck are the Bucks going to be? They start in a couple weeks. We got the Brewers in the playoffs, and we like to throw some shekels down. I have the best bet, and you're not going to believe who I'm betting on this week. My lead pipe, take it to the blood bank special. And feel free to share if you have a
sounds like we're going to hear.
We're going to hear. That's next here on
Look forward
Grapple
to
and
it.
Gridiron.
The first snow always catches someone off guard, but not you. Your house is warm, your furnace is new, and you're saving money. Right now, Cardinal is offering $1,000 off on your furnace and AC replacement, plus up to $2,600 in tax credits and rebates. That's $3,600 in savings, but only through October 31st. Winter's coming, but you're already ready. From pipes to power, we're here every hour. CardinalService.com.
Back here on the Gridiron and the Grapple. Glad you're with us this week from X Golf Middleton. Hopefully my guy can take down that course record. That walk-off eagle. Whew.
You like that one?
Impressive. All right, we're going to have our
pretty good.
best bets of the week. in college and pro coming up here. But in honor of NBA preseason games starting this week, I actually watched, how big of a degenerate am I? I watched the Bucks Heat preseason game the other night. Real simple question. The offseason, which was like the stunner of all stunners. As soon as the Bucks got bounced in the first round, everyone's like, dude, this is it. Giannis is gone. Where's he going? Is he going to the Rockets? Is he going to the Knicks? Yeah. He's out of here. 100% he's going to get traded. Lo and behold, the draft happens. Guess who says, no, I want to stay in Milwaukee? Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah. We were talking during the break. The East is going to be bad this year. Tyrese Halliburton, right? Out for the year. Jason Tatum, out for the year. Everyone's buying into the Orlando Magic. They're kids. Cleveland, they can't ever win a game in the playoffs. Like, I love getting Miles Turner. That's like balls all in move, like eating $50 million of dead salary of Damian Lillard so you can go get Miles Turner. Do you think, it's a real simple question, does Giannis Antetokounmpo play one more, two more? How many more years does he want?
Wait, I'm not sure what his contract is right now, but
he's got
I
two
will
more.
say,
Does he finish out this contract?
Okay.
We'll start with that one.
Well, he did move his family to Greece. That could be an issue. He's making moves and he's making changes already. But I see he's a guy that really commits. He seems like, I don't know him obviously, but he seems like a guy that is really fair, and he really commits to his word. And he's always said he loves Wisconsin, he loves Milwaukee.
And for them giving him the chance that no one else said, who is this kid?
Yes, he's always said that. So I think it'd be more of a organization thing if he gets moved this year. But obviously it's going to be, a lot of it's going to depend on how the season's going.
Well, like I said, I think, I think the Knicks will be pretty good. I do think, Cleveland and Orlando are good, but I don't know that they're great teams. I think Indiana and Boston are going to be terrible because they lost their superstars. What if the Bucks win 50 games and they're the 2 seed? Why would you leave? I mean, you want to really go to New York, Giannis, and deal with that, circus? Do you want to go to the Clippers, you know what I mean, and be the second-class citizen in LA to the Lakers? Like, I think it all comes down to if the Bucks have a good season. If they bounce out in the first round, he may eventually say, look, I'm going to be 30. I'm like, this is peak. I got 4 or 5 good years left. Do I want to go out in the playoffs in the first round? Or he says, look, I won a championship here. If I win a second one, I write my ticket as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, exactly. It is a weak division this year. It's going to be weak. There's a lot of injuries. So it's going to give them a better opportunity to be really good this year. That might be a bad thing because maybe the Bucks should move on. Honestly, at some point, depending on how the season's going, they've got a lot out of Giannis. He's an awesome player. He's a great player. He's so fun to watch. But sometimes you just got to move on, and sometimes you have to make changes.
Yeah. I'm stunned that he's still here, but I think that tells me he doesn't want to leave. And like you said, it'll be at some point the Bucks will say, look, dude, someone's giving us 7 first-round picks and 2 All-Stars. You got to go.
For sure. At some point that might happen, but again, it's a weak division, so you never know. They might do really well this year, get a 2 or 3 seed. And it's going to depend how far they go in the playoffs, too.
How about this?
If they get bounced first round, he's gone.
Not on Christmas for like the first time ever. Maybe Giannis he can have Christmas with the wife and kids. He doesn't have to be on the road. He can play Santa Claus. That'll change everything. That's my prediction. Bucks win it all because they don't have to play on Christmas. You heard it here first on this show. All right, we're going to get to our Packer-Badger picks against the spread and straight up. First off, you have a college game. I have 2 college games, and then I have 1 NFL blood bank special. I got 2, so I'll go first. Red River rivalry. Texas is a fraud. Oklahoma's defense is legit. I cannot believe Oklahoma's catching points. Arch Manning is done. He looks like a deer in the headlights. The head coach is already coming out making excuses for him. Texas is done. Oklahoma money line. Give me the Sooners straight up. I don't even need the points. That's ridiculous. Oklahoma much better right now than Texas.
I wish I could disagree with you, but I can't. I mean, that's a good pick. Texas is just bad, and the quarterback situation there is ugly. They're talking about benching him. People want him to get benched. But he's been there for 3 years.
He was a soldier. He could have taken $10 million in NIL and went to Oregon, and he stayed. I mean, I give the kid credit, but he ain't that dude right now.
But he does not look good in those games. And I watched a couple other games, and he just doesn't look good. So I'm with you on Oklahoma. That's a good pick.
Thank you, sir. All right, who do you got?
Impressive. I like Indiana. Indiana at Oregon. Indiana, I think, is a 6.5-point underdog.
Yep, right around 6. Depending where you shop, anywhere 6.5 to 7. Yep.
Don't get me wrong. Love Oregon's quarterback. Love Oregon's team. They look really good. They're a solid team. I think Indiana shows up in these big games, man. I think they're one of those teams. They have a dog for a head coach. He was a coach under Saban for a while. Yep. And I just think that they're going to be ready to play because he seems like he gets his guys ready to play, and they always come in and put up a good fight. So that's my underdog pick.
Yeah, well, it could be the winner might win the Heisman Trophy, right? You got Dante Moore, Oregon, and Fernando Mendoza for Indiana. Those are the top two odds right now. So whoever wins this game, that's probably your Heisman Trophy winner. P.S. All right, I got one more in the Big Ten as well. Talk about frauds. USC is the biggest fraud. Talk about the name on the front of the jersey and not the back. They never win a big game. They go on the road as a touchdown favorite to Illinois 2 weeks ago and get boat raced. They're a 3-point favorite at home against Michigan. Michigan's going to lose to USC? I don't think so. Money line bet, Wolverines all day. This has nothing to do with Michigan's destruction of Wisconsin last week. I think Michigan's way better than I thought. I give Sherrone more credit. I thought when Harbaugh left, that thing would implode. That's a good team. That's the number one quarterback recruit in the country they got. That running game's legit. That defense is legit. Michigan will straight up beat USC.
Can't disagree with you. That's a good pick.
All right, and for bonus, my blood bank, I know he's a polarizing fella. I personally still love him. I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, man. How are the Steelers only a 5-point favorite at home against Dylan Gabriel and the Browns? Steelers will win that game by at least 2 touchdowns, -5. Rodgers, he wins that division by default, by the way. Burrow's done for the year.
He does.
Who knows when Lamar's coming back? The Browns, Rodgers is going to win. They might be the number one freaking seed in the AFC. They're going to win a lot of games.
Dylan played great last week, right?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he played for his first start in the NFL. He played, but there's always a regression, like really fast with young quarterbacks.
You don't think Tomlin and that defense, TJ Watt?
They're so excited to get in there and play, and he played really well, and he was excited. But then there's that. Okay, now they're starting to see a little tape on me. Okay, now that excitement is wearing off. Now I got to be the man. I got to be the leader in this clubhouse as the quarterback. You usually see a dip in the second or third week after something like that.
So you like that -5?
I actually do.
Blood bank special. Get it in. Steelers -5. All right, we'll start with Saturday. Latest lines, the Hawkeyes giving Whiskey 3.5 points. It's a night game. I remember back in the days when you played and when Barry Alvarez to Bielma to Chris, if there was a night game at Camp Randall, that team was freaking impossible to beat. That is obviously no longer the case. But that being said, how do you see Saturday night playing out?
I didn't even realize it was a night game, honestly. And so for me, that throws a little bit of a wrench in the whole thing. I think they show up. I think that the Badgers really show up. 3.5. It's not, but Iowa's not going to score a ton of points regardless. So they're going to score 14, 17, something like that. Wisconsin just has to have a good couple good plays in there, get lucky here and there, and just hang in the game, hang around for a little bit. And they are in Madison, man. Yeah. It's still a tough place to play. Not always recently, but usually, like you said, usually it's a tough place to play, especially at night. So, yeah, I actually like the Badgers to hang in there.
I can't believe I'm doing this against all better judgment, but I actually saw this stat that, would you believe this? Who's the best run defense in the country right now? It's Wisconsin. So they actually do one thing really well, which is that's all I was going to want to do. So I think if Wisconsin's run defense plays like it is, there's no way Iowa beats Wisconsin in the air. If Fickle focuses and runs the ball like 30 times or more and passes it 25 times or less, I don't see Wisconsin losing. I'm going to bet on him not being a donkey. Wisconsin wins ugly, close, 13-10. Give me the Badgers.
I was going to say, I hope. I'm curious what the under is because
take that
might be a good way to go too, because just like you said, just run the ball, punt, run the ball, because that's what I was going to do. That's all they're going to do.
And if Wisconsin can force 3 and outs and get one short field or one turnover, they win the game.
And Wisconsin has excellent defense.
Yeah, I'm betting on the Badger defense. Don't let me down. All right, Sunday. I can't believe this one either. 14 and a half. Green Bay against the Joe Flacco Bengals. What do you see?
14 and a half? Oof. That's a big number. It is the NFL.
Yep.
They are NFL players. I think they're going to keep it a little closer than that. Honestly, Green Bay is obviously the better team. Cincinnati's defense is not very good. We know that. New quarterback coming in. We know that. But it is NFL players. I just don't see more than 14. Them losing by more than 14.
So the biggest spread of the year was 2 weeks ago. The Saints were a 17-point dog on the road at Buffalo. Buffalo did not cover.
Okay.
This is the second biggest spread, so I will follow that trend. I don't think this game's ever really in doubt, but that's another reason why backdoor covers and stuff like that happens. It's probably something like 27. It might be right on the number. 27-13, 27-14. I'll say 27-14. Packers win, but don't cover.
I'm with you.
All right. Go get that course record. Hey, thanks for watching this week. Thanks to our friends here at X Golf Middleton. Oh, right over here. Okay, thank you. And enjoy your weekend. Go Packers. Go Brewers tonight. Do we get do we close it out tonight?
I hope so. Peralta.
If I hear that dumbass Go Cubs Go song again, that's the end of it. Go Brewers. See you next week. Bye-bye.